Flosstube, welcome back to Snickerdoodle Stitch, or if it's your first time here, I'm glad you're able to join me. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch and occasionally about quilting or some finishing of cross stitch. So it's been a whirlwind 2 weeks since I filmed last time. I went to StitchCon, I picked up my friend Lana, who is the Silly Notion Stitcher on Flosstube, and we drove across the PA Turnpike into Ohio and spent 4 days at StitchCon, well, 3.5 days, and then left Sunday midday to head back home. So we were both very excited to go and see what all the fuss was about, and it definitely lived up to expectations. It is almost overwhelming. There's over 300 people there. There is shopping galore. The smalls exchanges are actually done in groups of 3, so there was always something happening there. The freebie table where we could take things that we don't want any longer and, you know, take things that interested us from the table was amazing. So yeah, we had a very good time. Had a good car ride out and back and did way too much shopping and probably not enough stitching. I did get less stitching done at this one than I did at the prior 2 retreats that I've gone to. So I'm going to share a little bit about StitchCon. I'm not going to share a whole ton because I think there are probably a lot of other people out there. I know there are already people from Weekend Day that have posted videos, so I don't want to bore you looking at the same thing that you're seeing on all of the channels, but just a couple highlights. When we first checked in, we were given this tote bag full of goodies. It's really big. It's a nice, like a heavy, like felt kind of fabric, and so we were given this tote bag full of goodies, and one of the goodies in there, we spent a good part of the weekend trying to figure out what it was, and finally broke down and asked somebody from Keepsakes, and they are eyeglass cleaners. So you put this little doodad over your eyeglasses and then just swipe. Yeah, we had no idea. I won't even tell you what I had guessed. And then as a departing gift, they gave us this really cute charm to assemble, and it's got, let me see if I can get it where you can see it. It has the little black cat because they have the black cat 310 in their store. As a bicycle, I'm going to show you a couple bicycle themed pieces from Hillis, and then it's got the 2023 charm, and they gave a split ring and also a, I can't think what this thing's called. The little, like miniature carabiner clip. So my plan is to clip it on a bag since I don't really use floss drops too much. I gave out the little Ort holders to each person at my table, and my table was very generous. I got a needle minder, which I'm not sure where it's at. I think it's in this bag. One of my table mates gave this bag. She had a whole pile of really pretty stitch project bags with cute little charms on them. This is stuffed full of floss drops, needle minders, zipper pulls, candy. It's all kinds of goodies from trading with people. I gave out needle minders made with Scrabble tiles, which sounded like a good idea in theory, but most people wanted like the letter from their name. And of course, you know, names start with J's and K's and things that there's only one of in the Scrabble game. So I just looked at them as game pieces and didn't really think that one through well enough, but people seem to appreciate them anyway. And so it was fun. I do like giving out somebody to everybody at the retreat because it gives me an opportunity to go around to all of the tables, see what people are stitching, see what their stitchy setups look like, check out different frames and lap stands and lights and all that kind of stuff. And there were some patterns that I added to my must-have list. So that was fun. Did that and got to meet some folks actually from Delaware, which is my state, and I don't know any stitchers here in Delaware, but they had everybody stand up. They called out each state and said how many people there were. And when they said there were 4 from Delaware and I stood up, the other 3 were actually together and they were looking around like, who else is here? But I had a good chat with them and they filled me in on, there's actually a very active local stitching guild, the Delaware Valley Historic Samplers Guild. And I had looked into them a while back, but they were really only doing virtual when I first looked at them. And they are very much focused on historic samplers. So they're guest speakers, things like that, focused on historic samplers. So I wasn't sure, you know, if I went to an open stitch, is that what everybody's stitching? Not that I don't love those. I would love to see them, but I just wasn't sure, like, was I going to fit in there? Would it be my jam? So they said, no, everybody stitches on anything and everything, but that yes, most of the speakers and activities do focus around historic samplers. So I'm going to check them out. They actually are now meeting in person 6 times a year and virtual 6 times. Not going to meet again in person until September, but the good news is they meet about a mile from my house. So I'm very excited about that. And then I met a lovely young lady who currently lives in Nashville, I think, but is going to be moving to Delaware in the summer. Her husband is coming here for work, so they're going to be moving here. So we swapped some contact information and I hope to hear from her. So the Smalls Exchange, I gave away the Blackbird Design bag and flat fold that's with an out of print Blackbird Design pattern, and I used the matching fabric for the bag as I did for the back of the flat fold, or for the kind of TP support piece. And the person who got my small was from my sister's sampler, and I suggest you check out their patterns. They have some beautiful patterns. They are only in LNSs. They want to support those. So they shared with me which of my local LNSs are already carrying their patterns. So I'm going to be looking for them. There's 2 in particular that I really would like to do. And then I was so excited. So I picked this bag up off the table in the Smalls Exchange, and I picked it because it looked like Rifle Paper Company fabric and paper goods, and I always like their patterns, so it drew me to it. And it is from Susan. I'm not gonna say her last name because I didn't mention that I have a Flosstube, but I got this gorgeous pillow with, I think, if anybody knows what the name of this chart is or who designs it, if you could let me know in comments. I think it's Hands-On Design, but I may be wrong because I searched and searched in Hands-On Design earlier today and I couldn't find it. And reverse image search is not finding it, maybe because it's stitched on dark gray. She's a newer stitcher, but she dyed the fabric herself and stitched this up. She's got this beautiful pillow with a little tag on the back that says StitchCon 2023 Exchange, and she's got rickrack around the edge. I couldn't be more thrilled. It definitely fits with the colors that I like, as you can tell, and my decor. So I was very excited with that. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she has an entire, and I pulled the pattern out of here, she has like an entire little stitchy kit in there. So floss, an eighth of linen, little tiny frame, which is actually the thickest wooden frame I think I've ever seen. It'll be nice for framing because it's not as flimsy as some of the wooden frames. Some needles, a little pair of scissors. She was extremely generous, but I was absolutely thrilled. I would have been happy with just the pillow. Is gorgeous. Got to meet some Flosstubers that I watch, like well, Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching, of course. They actually checked everybody in, so you got to meet one of them right in the door. 2 Needles Pulling Thread, who I watch, like their channel, and Susan from Sweet Wing Studio. So not a Flosstuber, but I showed this pattern I think I pulled it out when I was looking for tiny things that were few enough stitches that they would fit in the little 1-inch hoops that were really only 3/4 of an inch, so really tiny. And so she came up and introduced herself to me and said she was from Sweet Wing Studio. So she was very lovely. It was wonderful to meet her. And then when I first got there, someone came up and introduced herself, and she is a stitching friend from StitchCon last year with Carolyn from Carolyn Stitches. So another Flosstuber and one of my table mates from Stitching in the Wild in Florida earlier this year. So those are just a few of the people that I met. Like I said, this retreat, I probably spent more time circulating and talking to people. I don't want to say more than stitching, but probably more than I was stitching. The smalls exchange, which was happening right behind us, we were in a table that was on kind of the outer perimeter, and there were 2 long tables behind us, and that was where everybody took their smalls, and there were 3 smalls exchanges, so it became quite crowded and chaotic, really right where I was sitting. It was right behind me when the smalls exchange happened, and it was fun to watch everybody come pick their bag and see how they were trying to decide what they were going to take and everything. But I did have to, at some point, everybody took their bag back to their seats and opened them, and then everybody recongregated to meet who made their item and who got the item that they had made. And it was so much fun, but it was a lot of chaos there. Okay, so I think that's everything. Oh, no, well, yeah. Okay, so that's everything that is StitchCon specific. Now I'm going to go through some stitching that I did. I didn't do all of this at StitchCon, but one of the things I did work on there, I actually had it finished there, although I was working on it in the hotel room, and so I almost had it finished in the hotel. But it was this Val Stuff Do One Thing Every Day, this pattern that I was working on for Mental Health Care Sal that the 614 Stitcher hosts every May. Another fantastic Flosstuber worth checking out. And a couple things about this one. I did actually finish it. It is none of the called for. This fabric is Picture This Plus Mystic, which I bought a piece of when I was at Cross Stitch Cupboard, and I also was picking up the pattern there and thought, ooh, that pattern would work on that fabric. And this fabric was a fat quarter, but then there was kind of this funny little L-shaped piece on it, and I said, just give me the whole thing. So I cut this off the funny little L-shaped piece. So I had the fabric, I had the pattern, and then Carolyn and I just searched on the spinner rack of overdyes for one that I liked for an orange cat. And that was all I bought and stitched on there, and the rest of it I just pulled different flosses from stash. But I will say Picture This Plus is maybe not the fabric for me. It's very soft, and I don't think my stitches look as good as they normally would. So I was not thrilled. I know for people who stitch in hand, they tend to like a softer fabric. I like good tight tension on my stitching, and that may have been part of my problem. So if you'll remember, I had it originally, well, or I'll explain. I had it originally on this wooden frame. It was a stretcher that I had seen Misty from Luminous Fiber Arts use, and you assemble the wooden frame and then you tack it down with these special thumbtacks. It started out really tight and then it loosened up, and so that was part of my problem, was I didn't have the nice tight tension, and with all the tacks in it, it was a bit of a pain in the neck you almost had to like take them all out and start over, and they weren't that easy to get out. So I will likely not be using this again. It's not for me. It's maybe for somebody, but not for me. So those were my challenges with this piece. Sorry, gang, having some technical difficulties today. We're having really bad thunderstorms and weather alerts keep coming through, and apparently there's not a way for me to shut that off. So they keep pausing my video. Anyway, I thought I would have this fully finished today, but I can't decide what I want to do with it. I think I am probably going to stretch it around just a piece of mat board and put it in a frame for now, but I think what I want to do is actually glue it down on the front of a journal, like a gratitude journal. I am a journaler. Is that a verb or noun? Journaler. I do journal. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this piece, but I haven't entirely decided, and once I go gluing it to a book, I will have to live with it that way. But that's what I think I'm going to do with that. So maybe I'll have a fully finished for you next week with that one. This I've actually been stitching at home. I didn't stitch this at StitchCon, and I wasn't going to show it today. This is Project Quarantine from With Thy Needle and Thread. And I didn't get too much done. I got the heads and faces and the white aprons on the ladies at each end. But what I did get finished, and why I wanted to talk about this today, is this middle hoop is all 1/1. And her little needle here in her hand is 1/1. This is stitched on 20 count cork linen. And I can zoom in so you can see the 1/1 a little better. Sorry, the color's like flickering, going crazy. That close. One would think that on the larger thread fabric, like the 20 count, that the 1/1 would be easier. And the 1/1 on this was a beast. And I've done a lot of 1/1 this year. So you may remember I did a whole bunch of Christmas ornaments. This is on like 25 or 26 count Lugana 1/1. And the stitches I was very happy with. They were all neat and orderly. I did the teeny tiny 1/1 on 32 count linen for this little bee. Maybe if I cover my face, it'll focus on that. Maybe not. And then I've also been working on the Hands Across the Sea Annie Bayliss, or God Save the Queen. And this one, everything but that top alphabet and the outer border is all 1/1. So that inner checkered border that's between the A and the L, and all of the bottom alphabet, that's all 1/1. This is on linen. I think a white quilt, because it's a little stiff. It doesn't really feel like Zweigart. It was a scrap I had, and it was snowy white, and I wanted white and red. So anyway, I've done a lot of 1/1 stitching just in the last 6 months, and this cork has been the trickiest 1/1 to work on. I think because the fabric is very soft and the weave is very loose, so it's even a little bit tricky doing, well, I'm doing 4/2 for most of it, and it's actually 2/1 for these pieces, like this hoop, the design that's in there. But I think because it is soft and the weave is so loose, it made it a little tricky. So if you're looking at starting or trying your first 1/1, I really would recommend a Lugana. Lugana, whatever sizing they put in there, almost fuses the threads together a bit. So your upper thread and your bottom thread are almost a little fused together. And so your thread doesn't have any tendency to want to slip underneath. If you watch Jean Farish's Flosstube number 15, she has an excellent tutorial on 1/1. And there's a direction you go with your second loop over top to prevent it from slipping underneath. But you still can have a bit that will want to do that. And I don't find that that happens on Lugana. Or the stiffer linen. But that quirk. I thought I was never going to get that stupid hoop done. I showed this not too long ago. It's the temperature chart that I've been working on, and it's by Zahra Design Studio. And I haven't looked online to see if there's an errata or a correction for it, but I noticed when I finished May. Yeah, so I started in this upper corner and it snakes. So the first row went this way, the second row went this direction, and back and forth. Suddenly when you get down to here, it shouldn't be snaked back this way. The pattern wanted me to start over here and go across. And then the next row start over it. So it wanted me to do it like a book, left to right for all of them. And I already had this whole top half done as charted where it snaked. I'm not sure it makes a huge difference, but I just wanted to point it out that there is a little quirk in that pattern. It's a different symbol for each month, so it makes it easy to see where you are in the pattern. And the symbol suddenly wasn't working out, and I realized it has started reading like a book. It's not sneaking anymore. So it's the Motifs Temperature Records. It is a really nice pattern, and I'm still just gonna snake, and I'm gonna use the motif as it's put in the pattern, but I'm not gonna snake, or I'm not gonna go left to right. I'm gonna continue snaking. So it just means that I won't have a different symbol for each month, so I have to just ignore the symbols, but that's okay because I had just been writing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each motif as I do the day. That's how I keep track of where I'm at on the pattern, as well as what day I finished, because every now and then there's days that I miss. Like when I went to StitchCon, I didn't work on that. I didn't take that with me. Other StitchCon stitching. So some of this is kind of boring, but it was intentional. So I finished the snow on my North Pole. This is Welcome to the North Pole from Primrose Cottage Stitches. And I don't have the book in here. And I had this all done, except for all of this weight, this big pile of snow at the bottom. And I had intentionally stitched the little blue snowflakes in there, but I did not stitch all of the weight because that was easy, kind of mindless stitching to do when I was at StitchCon. So I did get that done. That weight is just B5200. I didn't use silk on that one, even though I do prefer a silk for weight. I think the stitches look neater and provide better coverage. Oh, and there's a book I lost. I looked everywhere today for this. It's been one of those weeks. This next one is Cricut Collection Bed and Bath 1. It's an older pattern. I'm doing the one on the top, also on a teal fabric. I am doing it on Lagoon Blue from Zweigart. It's not an overdye or anything, but it is a gorgeous tealy blue color. And I got all of this bathtub stitching done, and then I ran out of floss. So I showed before Splendor floss, which I love for coverage. This tile up here is Dinky Dye silk, and it's actually a light blue, teal, and white variegated, all very pale. when I started stitching the Splendor down here, actually when I was doing the outline before I went, it didn't cover as well as the Dinky die. So I pulled it all out and re-outlined it, and I stitched that all with Dinky dye, natural, and I ran out of floss. So I'm gonna get some more floss. I have it on order. And I don't know if I will stitch on this before my next retreat is the middle of next month in New Jersey. I may go ahead and start stitching some of the more fun things like the books and stuff that are out to the side. But stitching that white bathtub is very tedious and good retreat stitching because you can talk and you're not having to, you know, losing count of where you're at or anything. This next one was a start that I had mentioned that I wanted to do. It's this Madame Chantilly pattern, and there it is, and the saying that's on it is in English, French, and Italian. My plan is to stitch it in French, and I'm stitching it on Fabrics by Stephanie Nantucket Sky Lugana, which has this beautiful, I mean, it looks like a sky. It just screams sky to me. So what I got done is this upper right hand corner, I did start in the upper right, and I don't have a lot of fabric on the side. This pattern is actually quite large, so on this count of Lugana, I wasn't going to have I had a little more wiggle room top to bottom, but side to side I didn't. The pattern is wider than it is tall, but my fabric wasn't that much wider either direction. So I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more stitched on that, but this was one of the days where I was distracted. We did take a road trip to Keepsakes. So we spent one morning at Keepsakes shopping there. And then the annex is huge. So the annex is like another whole LNS right there. They had probably, I don't know, maybe 20 trunk shows there. I'm trying to think. There was a huge pile of forbidden fabrics. Then there was finally a Farmgirl trunk show. There was hands-on design. There was a Teresa Kogut trunk show. Rovaris. Sue Hillis. I'm forgetting like 3/4 of what was there. It was huge. They had so many patterns, and then on the back wall, the entire wall was lined with a table. It was just piled with Atomic Ranch fabrics, and across from that was another one or two tables that were covered with Grace Notes fabric. So tons of fabric. I love both of those dyers. Grace Notes I typically buy locally. She started out before you could really find her anywhere else. She started out in some local shops here, so I try to support my local needlework store. But Atomic Ranch I absolutely love. So I went a little crazy buying Atomic Ranch fabric, which was on my don't buy list. But so my last stitching that I worked on there is actually some haul. This was one of the patterns. It's finally a Farmgirl Matilda, and it's the Stitchy bus, which is the red school bus, which they have at StitchCon. Sorry, I got some things falling over here. It's the red school bus that they have at StitchCon that will shuttle you from the convention center to Keepsakes and I think one of the hotels. Since I was driving, we just drove to Keepsakes and we didn't actually ride the Stitchy bus, but I saw it. So I did start that. I had some fabric that I had hand dyed at home, so I had heard that there was going to be a Matilda pattern that would be just for StitchCon, and so I hand dyed this piece of Ada. It's just a pale blue mottled, but I got the whole Stitchy bus and a little bit of the white from her dress and part of the bumper here. I don't know, it's like 600 stitches. It's a lot of stitches just for that little thing, but it's on 18 count Ada, which is gonna make it I don't know, about 4 by 5, I think. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I think probably a pillow. I may do it in a pillow and put it in a bowl just with this. I think the colors will complement each other, and then that bowl will be my StitchCon memories. So this was a pattern that they sold. It wasn't a freebie, and I believe Barbara from Keepsakes said that they would continue to sell this, and all of the money from this pattern, finally a Farmgirl had donated to the charity that they did a raffle fundraiser for. So that is all of my stitching. Now I'm gonna, dig into haul. And I've got way too much haul. So let's see how much we can get through. So I love JBW, and this is an older pattern, but I don't have it. And it's this French country bicycle, and this reminds me, that was one of the trunk shows that was there, was JBW. This was stitched up without the bicyclette at the bottom. But it was really cute, and I bought that one. I honestly don't remember if I bought this one or if this one was on the freebie table. It's Mojo Stitches Christmas Bells Pin Keep. And let me see if I can get it without the glare. But it looked like just kind of a simple, pretty quick stitch. I'm looking because the model's actually stitched with Weeks dye work mostly, and one classic color works. 2021. I'm surprised it's not what their can't think of the name of their thread line. Cottage something. Yeah, it'll come to me when I'm done here. I bought last year's exclusive StitchCon pattern. There was one this year as well. It's in our passport, but I really like last year's because it's got all the things. I mean, you've got the little keepsakes, you got the Stitchy bus, you've got the Black Cat 310. I just really like this one, so I did buy that. This is another Madame Chantilly. My friend Lana spotted this one, and I was downstairs, and she's like, "Did you see the mouse in the teacup?" And I had not, so I went back upstairs to look at the mouse in the teacup and ended up buying it. It's also got some spools of thread and stitching thing going on, so it's like all of my favorites. I love a cute mouse, and I do love tea, and of course stitching. So I'm not sure when any of these are going to get stitched, but. And then this one is by Lilli Violette, and it's called Practically Perfect in Every Way, and it's a Mary Poppins theme. And Lana said somebody is stitching this online, and I'll have to find out who and see what they're doing. But it's a simple enough pattern that it would be really nice on an over-dyed, like sky looking, maybe not my daytime sky, but something. It's 214 by 122. Yeah, I'll have to think about what to do with that one. And then this is from Collection Tralala, who I love, and I probably need to look and see if I already have this pattern. It's Jolie, Sorciere, and it is a little witch with a mouse. And I do love Halloween, so that one is also right up my alley, but I may already have this one. Let's hope not. If I do, there'll be a giveaway. This is from Sue Hillis, and it's Easter. And I know it's kind of an odd time to be buying Easter, but these little bunnies were so cute. And if you look at how they're finished on the eggs are just like matte board, maybe foam core, with some batting and then some cording and lace around. But what they did, and I took a picture of it, but they had like a popsicle stick or bamboo skewer in the bottom of each of these, and they had them all standing up in an Easter basket. It was so cute the way they had them displayed there that I thought, oh, I have to get those and stitch those up. And those would be pretty quick little stitches. I mean, they're only, let's see, 49 by, well, most of them are like 30 by 30. So pretty simple. And I know a lot of people don't like backstitch, and I might actually stitch them and see what they look like without the backstitch. Backstitch does make things pop, but I know none of us really love the backstitch. We don't love to do it anyway. And then I bought 2 Sue Hillis bicycle patterns, and I'll show you what goes with it. Well, let me show you the bicycle patterns first. This one is Spring is in the Air, and this one is Summer Treats. So they had one there that was just for StitchCon that said the adventure awaits, and it was a red bicycle, and I think it said StitchCon at the top. I did not get it because I love this ice cream one, and they were both red bikes. I would use them both the same time of year in the summer, so I didn't get it. I just got the summer ice cream and the Spring is in the Air. But what they had for these are these really cute picket fence boxes, and they had them in here, so just, you know, stretched around foam core with some batting on it, and then down in the tray, completely filling the tray. So that's what I want to do with this, and I probably will just cut my mat board so that it will fit in here and stay in here, but not glue it or anything. And then I can just pry one out and pop the other one in when I switch from spring to summer. And then they do have Save the Bees, Harvest, and Snowmen. So they've got things for all seasons coming in these. I don't think they're all out yet. But I have so much Halloween and Christmas and spring and summer. I needed some more charts for spring and summer. So I know you can get this through Keepsakes. They had them all assembled already. But I'm pretty sure it's Chantal 141. And I don't know if you can get this there or if it's exclusive to Keepsakes, but I think you could probably order it and get it shipped flat. So very excited with this. This is the Hello from Liz Matthews. I told you I was going to forget everybody that was there for the trunk show. They had the trunk show for Hello from Liz Matthews, and this is a new pattern. It says 2023. I have not seen it before, so I think it's brand new. But I love that, and you can't tell, but that background is my favorite color green. It is a deep green on the blue side, and just really sweet with that lacy edge, which I think is done in backstitch, speaking of backstitch. But the flowers, I just love that one, and it's called Gifts from My Garden. So that one is, I'm pretty sure that one is going to go in a pile to stitch very soon. I'm anxious to do this one. Then I bought a bunch of Matildas because I love my mice and love Matilda. I got Matilda's Brew, So little mouse there, whipping up some kind of stew with a toad in it, maybe. So Matilda's blue. These are all by Finally a Farmgirl. This one is Matilda Goes to School. But it was so cute with those two little mice sitting at the desks and Matilda, the teacher, there at the top. Something just fell. Sorry, folks. I'm having kind of a disaster today. As long as I don't fall. True story. Years ago, I was administering a performance evaluation. I was in my office at work, administering a performance evaluation, and I've always had a bad habit of sitting on my leg, like crossing one up under myself. My father yelled at me for doing it for years and told me to sit in the chair right with my feet on the floor, and that never really stuck. And so in the middle of doing a performance evaluation, I went to try to tuck my leg up under myself and fell out of my chair. So one minute I'm calmly talking to somebody, and the next minute I was on my hands and knees behind my desk, laughing so hard that I couldn't get up and I couldn't talk, and my employee is frantically like yelling over the desk, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" Yeah. Kathleen humiliation story. I'm famous for them. This one is called Room on My Broom, and it's a witch and a cat and a mouse and an owl all on the broom, but I thought it was so cute. And look at the little teeny tiny mouse on the back of the broom. I love the little mini mice that she sneaks into these. Like this one. This last one this is a smaller one. It's Scarecrow Jack Mini, and it's the Scarecrow with two little tiny mice. So those were my Matildas, which keeps sliding off here. So I think that was all of the charts that I bought. I did buy a bunch of fabric. They had a whole basket in the Rivara section of these really yummy colors. They were all ready cut, and they've all got little tiny charms on them that say handmade with love. But the colors were so different. They're very rich, and they are dark. The modeling seems to be pretty subtle. I had opened a couple of them when I first got, well, yeah, these were bought in a couple shopping trips. But some of the colors, like this olivey kind of green, and this color, my friend Lana was like, well, that's brown. You don't like brown, but it's really kind of eggplant. It's got a purple cast to it. I'm thinking like some orange, yellow, something fall would be really pretty on that. And this one is just a really unusual, it's kind of a salmon color. It sort of has an orange cast to it, but it's kind of pink as well. I'm just not even sure what you would call that one. And then the two that I really did not need to buy were some more blues. One's more gray. This one is an unusual blue. I'm not even sure what to call that blue. But yeah, so I bought some Rivaris linen. I bought a StitchCon needle minder. I'm not even really a big needle minder user, but I really like the StitchCon, and I'm getting better about using needle minders. I bought a needle minder Winter Mice, which is a little mouse, and I can't remember who made these. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Yes, if I cover my face. So that cute little mouse. When we were at Keepsakes, I did buy, well, I thought I bought 2 spools, but I think I dropped one when I was in the store, because when I unpacked all my goodies in the room that night to check everything out, I only had 1 spool of this, and I think I probably dropped it. But it is a spool of the Weeks Dye Works Pearl 12, so it's the Weeks Dye Works that is similar to Sulky. It might be a little heavier. Anyway, I got 1 spool of that to give that a try. And then no idea what I'm going to do with this, but I like the size and shape and of course the color, and it would be great for, you know, some longer pieces that you would do in maybe like the long pin cushion kind of pillow, but just to do it as a flat piece and swap them out on here or something. Again, not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I just, let's be honest, the red drew my attention. I'm like a bull when it comes to red. So then the freebie table was amazing. I got some really cool patterns on the freebie table. I did take several patterns and I was glad to see that most of them had been taken, so that's good. So I'm always happy when somebody, one switch you're getting rid of and it doesn't just end up in a slush pile. But this is Country Cottage Needleworks, Love is in the Air, and there's a needle threader in here. It's these cute little snowmen holding hands, but I thought it would be a really quick small stitch. What size is it? One moment please, and I'll see. Well, it is 70 by 70, but pretty simple and small. So I may stitch that up. I'm trying to decide whether I can do Christmas in July stitching. I'm normally very seasonal, but if I stitch Halloween, by the time I'm done with that, then I really have this really short window of time to do fall. And so I'll stitch fall through Thanksgiving, let's say, and then that only gives me a month to stitch Christmas. And I really like Christmas stuff. So I'm seriously considering Christmas in July stitching this year. So be prepared, you might be seeing some Christmas. This one was free on the freebie. Sorry about that, folks. My camera or video, something froze again. It's more of these alerts about flooding, which I'm not really sure why they're talking about my area flooding, because we have no rivers, we have no oceans, we have really nothing other than the roads. I mean, the roads can flood out, but I don't know that it's bad enough that we need an alert every half hour, which is what seems to be happening. Anyway, the next thing I was going to show, I was very excited to get the Christmas Tiny Town. I have several of the Tiny Towns. I haven't stitched any of them yet, but I think Once Upon a Stitch, and I'm drawing a blank on her name, and I do know her name, is doing a sal with this one starting at the Stitch New Jersey retreat, and I'm going to that. So my plan is to take this to Stitch New Jersey retreat to work on it. So that will be at least one Christmas thing getting stitched on in July. Yeah, there was some incredible stuff. I got Mary Mouse from Brenda Gervais. So it is this little mouse in the Santa hat. And I wasn't entirely sure if I had this one. I knew I had some Christmas mice. I thought maybe I didn't have this one. So sometimes the mice look a little more rat-like and I'm not as drawn to them. And this would be one of them. But from the freebie table, I figured I would pick it up and stitch it. So Mary Mouse. This one, I'm pretty sure was one of those free kits that are with the magazines from overseas. It's a Margaret Sherry, and it's not a mouse, but I love Margaret Sherry, and it is this really adorable little bunny. And this one is like 25 by 25 stitches. It's super small, so will be, you know, a no time stitch. And I thought it was cute. And then this one is Lila's Studio, All Hallows Eve. Got a little witch with a cat. And if I had picked this one up before the Tra-La-La pattern, which was the witch with the mouse, I probably wouldn't have bought the Tra-La-La pattern because they're kind of similar. But I really like this one. I love her outfit. is just fun. So I'll put that in my Halloween stitches. Someone had a whole set, well, not a whole set, but it's like 5 of these Primrose Cottage Stitches patterns. We've got January 9, they're all the 9 patch. We've got January, April, June, July, August with the little tiny bees, November with some cute little pumpkins and acorns, got December, and then there is a PDF printout of September, or a working copy, I'm not sure. But I won't do these as the 9 patch, and I didn't pick these up. My friend Lana did, and then every day we would go back to the room at night, and we'd get out our haul, things we had bought, things we had picked up off the freebie table, whatever, and we would go through everything. And then occasionally we would be like, I think I'm going to put this back on the freebie table. Or, you know, we'd spot something that the other one had, and we're like, oh, I need to go buy that tomorrow too. But in a couple cases, like she had this, she had taken it off the freebie table, and I had an It's So Emma design that I decided I probably wasn't going to stitch it. It was the teacup from the monthly or quarterly club that they have. And so I took this one from Lana, and she took the teacup. But these really tiny motifs in these 9 patches will work on, I can even do like 25 count Lugana, and they will fit in these 3/4 inch hoops. So that's why I was excited about these, because I can do them and put them in those tiny little hoops. This is one of the It's So Emma, and it's quarterly. So this was a different quarterly one, which somebody had on the freebie table, and the colors grabbed my eye immediately. You can tell why looking behind me, but it's the entire kit they put in there. It's the floss and everything. So I definitely will be stitching that. That was, well, it's Sweet Laurel. I guess it doesn't have like the year or the quarter. I'm not sure when it's from, but it's called Sweet Laurel. I'm guessing you could find it. This Sue Hillis Harvest Time, and I do love Sue Hillis designs, but they are heavy on backstitch. But I thought that was just a really nice fall. I might work on that dark green linen. What did I do with that? Maybe? Not sure what, I'll have to pull the floss for the green leaves and see if the green leaves would show up on that dark green linen, but this is kind of the colors that I had in mind to go on that. So, some fall stitching. This was actually a Dimensions kit, and it's the full kit. It's stitched on, it's kind of like perforated paper, but it's plastic. So it's like a cross between perforated paper and plastic canvas. It's clear plastic, but it looks like, if you look at it up close, it looks like perforated paper. I don't know that I'm going to stitch it on that, but I thought they were really cute little Christmas ornaments, and all the flosses are in here. I mean, it's the full unopened kit. But I fell in love with that. This little reindeer down here on this end is just precious. So, I don't know, you know, that's a lot of stitching to stitch in all that dark background. So I have to think about this one, how I will stitch it, but I'm definitely going to stitch it. The floss colors are pretty true to the photograph is pretty true to the floss colors. So this kit is called Christmas Jar Ornaments. I don't know if it's still out. 2017 it might be. And it's from Dimensions, so I'll give that a try. And then, just looking through my pile here, there were some freebie patterns hidden around Keepsakes. So I can't show them to you because it's just the patterns, but as you walked around Keepsakes, they told you to look for anything that was printed out, basically just on a plain piece of printer paper, and had no price tag on it. And if you found it like that, that it was a freebie. So a lot of the rooms, as you're looking at designs and things, you would find these little freebies tucked in here and there. So I have a pattern of 310, which is their black cat that they have, and a hands-on design pattern, and a Hello from Liz Matthews pattern, although I can't remember if the Hello from Liz Matthews pattern was from there or if it was on the freebie table at the convention. And then I did buy too much fabric. I really wasn't supposed to be buying fabric. The only thing that I was supposed to buy was one piece of purpley blue Ada in 18 count, and I did find it. So this is to stitch. It's coming off a little more purpley than it actually is. It's a little bit more blue than that. That might be closer. I don't have the pattern out, but Praiseworthy Stitches has the patterns, which are like a big mansion, maybe a big like fall just twiggy tree next to it, and then there's all the little trick-or-treaters in front of the mansion or around it, and they have several of these. I've got like 3 or 4 of them, and I have 2 of them. I haven't decided which one I'm going to stitch. I'm not going to stitch both of them. The problem was I like the trick-or-treaters and I think the little pumpkins on one, but I like the house in the other one better. So I may do some kind of weird combo and stitch one house and then stitch the things around the house. I have to see how close the houses are in size, but I wanted some kind of spooky Halloween night type fabric. And so this was the one fabric I was supposed to buy. Like, it was on my shopping list. It was the one I was allowed to purchase. And they had it in the count that I've been looking for and having trouble finding and everything. I was not supposed to purchase the big stack of fabric from Rivaris, and I was not supposed to purchase this big stack of fabric, but we all know how the fabric thing goes. This one is called Joy Lynn. It's 32 count linen from Atomic Ranch, and it is another mottled red. That color is actually pretty true. This is a pretty big piece of this. I may use it to stitch something in white on it for my red and white wall, which I'm slowly working on. This, I would have loved to have had more of this. It's 32 count or 36 count Atomic Ranch Dune, and I mentioned before I had Atomic Ranch Weathered Stone. It was labeled as Weathered Stone. I stitched the piece it's the small things in life that take up the biggest part of your heart or something like that. And I liked it because it had a slate pinkish cast to it. And I bought another piece of Weathered Stone, and it also had a slate pinkish cast. I bought another piece of Weathered Stone. These are in different counts, but they're all linen, and it had a greenish cast. So when I saw they had the big piles of Weathered Stone there, I started digging, or Atomic Ranch fabric there, I started digging through, and all of the Weathered Stone was slightly greenish. But I came across this Dune, which is actually the slightly pinkish cast, which is what I loved. And now I'm wondering, either my Weathered Stone was mislabeled, it was misdyed, or the Weathered Stone does have a tiny bit of pink, it looks like, in it on some pieces. It's just not dominant. And it's possible that the color mix was just different in the first couple pieces I had. But this Dune is closer to what I have been looking for when I wanted more Weathered Stone. But I need to see, I was looking online because they only had this 1/4 yard in linen, and I want some more, and I can't find it. So I'm going to reach out to Gary from Gary on Stitchery and see if he's able to get it. I did buy a piece of Grace Notes, even though I said I like to buy them locally. I got this white peach tea, which is really bright yellow. But again, it would make a nice fall piece with like some deep orange pumpkins or something on it. I have that Cricut collection pattern. It's Jack's something. It's like a little row of pumpkins, and the one in the middle has a jack-o'-lantern face, but it's charted so that you can do it without that. And I had said I might do that on either this eggplant color or this olivey green. Those are going to get used for fall for sure. This is a piece that I got at Keepsakes, the store. It's from Fortnite Fabric, called Enticing. And it's a little bit darker than the Dune. Well, you can see, yeah, that's pretty true. It is pinkish, but it's a little darker than what I normally would buy. And I had something in mind when I bought it, but now I don't remember what that was. Oh, this is Grace Notes as well. This is Doris. And I had something in mind to stitch on this, and I'm drawing a blank on it now. I got a full half yard, and I know I got a half yard. Oh, because there's a Mirabilia I want to do on it. I do remember now. So you'll be seeing a Mirabilia start soon on this, and that's why it's a half yard. The Mirabilia that I want to do, it's actually in, might be a Nora Corbett. It won't take a full half yard, but it is one where I may do a couple, either all on one piece of fabric, or do a couple and I just want to hang them near each other and would like to have them on the same fabric. So I've been looking for a half yard of something that I would like for that, and this Grace Notes will be perfect. That's what that was for. And the last fabric, this one is an Atomic Ranch. It says it's linen, but it's Lugana. I can tell looking at it. And this is also, it's not nearly as bright blue as it's coming out. It's more of a grayish blue. It's not that really bright color. But I'd like to do a Mirabilia on this one too. So that's what that one is for. Either a Mirabilia or I'm still looking for fabric to do Quaker Halloween on. So, I don't know. You'll be seeing something on that. So that was the end of my purchases, the end of my haul, the end of my stitching. I think that's everything. So now I am going to go fight with editing and splicing all these video pieces together. I'm sorry, it's been a little bumpy. I will see also if I can figure out how to shut off the emergency weather notifications. I do like getting them normally, but they didn't really like getting them while I'm filming. I'm hoping to film again next weekend. I think last time I said I was going to go on a 2-week cadence, but I'm ending up with too much stuff piled up. So I'm probably going to film again next weekend. So hopefully you will see me then. Thank you for joining me. If you like the video, please hit like or subscribe. And I will talk to you all soon. Thank you.